My name is Jason, and this is Just Watches. Today we have a watch from Wrist Hardware. This is the Paramo, a versatile quartz watch designed in Austin, Texas. So one of the really nice things about this watch is it comes with 3 different straps, allowing you to change the look of your watch and dress it up or down depending on the situation. Now, before we get to the review, if you're enjoying the content of this channel, I invite you to subscribe, and if you're enjoying the contents of this individual video, please give it a thumbs up. Thank you so much. So price and availability. This watch is currently available in 4 colorways on the Wrist Hardware website. The MSRP is $249. Now, I normally don't cover packaging on the channel, but the watch does come in a nice travel case. I always prefer a travel case or watch roll rather than a box. No matter how nice the box presentation is, it's just going to end up living in my garage, while a travel case or watch roll is going to get used. The case is 40 millimeters in diameter, 47.5 millimeters lug to lug. It's about 12 millimeters thick, but I would say about 1 millimeter of that is this domed crystal, and then it has a 20 millimeter lug width opening. Sized for my 6 3/4 inch wrist, it weighs 133 grams on the bracelet. Now the case is nicely finished with a combination of high polish and brushed surfaces. Starting at the top of the bezel, which is brushed, it then transitions into the edge of the bezel, which is high polish. The tops of the lugs are high polished with a slightly chamfered edge. Then the end link of the watch is brushed, as is the sides of the case. The lugs angle down sharply and are drilled for easy strap changing. The finishing on this case is excellent at the price point, and I really like the high polish on the top of the lugs. So there are 3 stock straps with this one. Let's start with the bracelet. Now the lug width opening is 20 millimeters, but the first link flares out to match up with the edge of the case, which is a really nice and cohesive look. The bracelet then tapers all the way down to 18 millimeters at the clasp. The solid end link has some play, but it isn't noticeable on the wrist. The bracelet lies flat across the back of the watch, and the articulation between the links is good. These 2 factors definitely play into having a very comfortable bracelet. Now the bracelet is a combination of brush H links with high polish links in between. Now usually I don't like high polish on my bracelet, but it's just a small part of the bracelet here, and it's a nice touch because it really ties the bracelet into the head of the watch, especially how they flared out that first link so the line from the bracelet goes straight into the case. Now the clasp is a double push to plant with a safety catch and a fully milled scissor. It's signed with the Wrist Hardware logo and has 3 micro positions. I think the links are small enough that you'll be able to get a good fit on most any wrist size. Finally, sizing is accomplished with screw links, which is very convenient. You just need a 1 millimeter screwdriver. Next, we have a vintage style rubber strap. Now this strap actually uses the end links from the bracelet and integrates perfectly and gives a very cohesive look. The rubber is soft and pliable and heavily vented on the backside. This is going to keep it cool and comfortable on the wrist. It also has a really nice taper from around 21 millimeters all the way down to 16 millimeters. Of the 3 options that come with this watch, this was my favorite strap to wear the watch on, and I found it extremely comfortable. Finally, we have a nylon strap. Now this strap is also very nice. It's very soft and thin, but at the same time is very robust. The hardware is signed and nicely finished. The end of the strap is extra thick there to kind of prevent wear, and even with the double pass style of the strap, due to how thin the strap is, it doesn't really raise the watch off the wrist all that much. Now I'm usually not a fan of nylon straps, but I must say I did really like this one. The screw-in caseback helps with 200 meters of water resistance and is signed with the logo and Wrist Hardware. We also get some information around the edge of the caseback. Importantly, a sapphire crystal is used, as is a Swiss movement. This watch is powered by the Swiss Ronda 1069. This is a quartz movement with a 25 to 34 month battery life and an accuracy of -10 to +20 seconds per month. The 6.5 millimeter screw down crown is all high polish, nicely knurled, and signed with the Wrist Hardware logo. There's only a single position, which hacks the movement, and the watch is easy to operate via the crown. The threading and unthreading action is also very smooth. The watch uses a massive 2.6 millimeters thick sapphire crystal. It sits ever so slightly proud of the bezel, and the dome rises maybe 1 to maybe 1.5 millimeters proud of the bezel overall. There's no mention of air coating, but I think some was definitely used, as the dial is quite legible under this massive crystal. I love to see sapphire crystal used at this price point. The dial on this watch is very interesting. Starting at the very edge, we have a sunken chapter ring with Arabic numerals for each of the 5-minute designations and dashes for the rest. Swiss movement is tucked at the 6 o'clock position. Moving in, we have a raised sunburst section with applied indices for each of the hours. The indices are high polished and catch light nicely. They are also filled with lume. Moving in once again, the dial sinks down, and this this time we have a textured surface. There's an applied wristwatch hardware logo at 12 and a small second sub-register at 6, which is once again down a level and filled with concentric circles. The sub-register also has a sunburst effect. A railroad track marks the seconds, and I like that the dashes are on the inside of the track, which helps with the second hand alignment, which is quite good. The 6 o'clock index is a touch shorter to accommodate the sub-register, but it blends in well into the dial overall. This combination of different surfaces and heights on the dial makes it very visually interesting. The hands are baton style and faceted, so they will nicely catch light on one side or the other. They are also nicely loomed. The second hand is a short baton hand with a lume tip. One small nitpick here is I would love to see the hour hand reach just to the edge of the textured circle on the dial, as well as the minute hand reach just to the edge of the sunburst one. And here is the lume shot. You can see it's keeping up pretty well with the Seiko here. A little bit less surface area on the indices and hands, so it's not quite as bright, but the intensity is there. And a trio of wrist shots for you today. First, the bracelet. Now, I love how this bracelet flares out at the top there, so it's following the lines of the case. And then you can see this is a thin watch. It wears low and snug and comfortable on the wrist. And here was my favorite of the three, the rubber strap. I love how it uses the end link from the bracelet to integrate to the watch, and then the line of the strap flows nicely into the lines of the case. Really good execution here and extremely comfortable. Last but not least is the nylon strap. This one is comfortable as well. I'm not a huge fan of these. Usually they make the watch ride a little bit too high on my wrist, but I think the strap is thin enough here that it doesn't do that. And if you feel so inclined, you can always cut part of the strap to make it a single pass. So pros and cons, starting with the pros. Well, this is a great watch at a great price. You have a really nice set of specs, including 200 meters of water resistance, a screw-down crown, and sapphire crystal. You also get those 3 straps included, and it's not like they're just throwing them in. There was some design and forethought, as you can see with the rubber strap, as it's designed to integrate into the end link from the bracelet. As for cons, my main con here is really just the length of the hour and minute hand. If they aligned with the edges of the respective circles on the dial, that would have made me really happy. So I really enjoyed my time with these watches, and I think it is quite a killer package when you consider the specs of the watch and the 3 straps included. The watch also looks great on all 3 strap options. The design is both dressy and sporty, and with 200 meters of water resistance and a screw-down crown, you can be pretty adventurous with this one. For comparables, you might consider Dan Henry watches, but I think this offering from Wrist Hardware is a better value overall. So there you have it, the Paramo from Wrist Hardware. Let me know what you guys think about this watch in the comments below. As always, if you're enjoying the content of this channel, I invite you to subscribe. And if you like the contents of this individual video, please give it a thumbs up. That's all for this time. My name is Jason, and you have been watching Just Watches.